my request.
All right.
All right. Am I in? Application counseling.
All right. Okay.
Hello. Wait a minute. Hello. Okay.
All right, we in there? Okay, what's going on now that not
Hey, I think that's the feedback because
might want to mute your computer.
how do I do that? Here we go.
We good? Where's Kim?
So we're supposed to mute our mic.
There we go.
Hold on.
We good? Yes.
Where's Kim?
I don't know. I'm coming. I'm waiting on to get joined.
Hey, everybody. We're just waiting for our other participants. There we go. Hey.
So y'all making me look real old. Trying to figure this stuff out. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
We made it.
We made it.
You made it on this day?
Yes, sir.
On this good, happy day? So look, let's just get right into it. So we've been getting pretty good feedback from those panels that we've been doing, and I just kind of wanted to just get on live for one, to show more people how dope, you know what I'm saying, but for two, just kind of speak on the topic of emotional intelligence coming from a parenting perspective, because, you know, a lot of people like to hear those topics. A lot of people like to hear other folks' perspective as it relates to just parenting. We all, you know, sometimes fall short in that department, and we need uplift from other people. And it's quite natural to feel that way, but a lot of people don't even express that. Right? So I wanted to just kind of piggyback off some of those topics from that panel. And if y'all want to see more of that panel, go to YouTube. The YouTube channel is at Versity University. And, you know, look up that panel, Real Talk Panel Discussions. But, you know, join me today is Queen Natalie Alexander and Queen Pete Kim. How y'all doing? So I got cotton mouth just a little bit, so I don't want to just take a drink. But look, let's talk about emotional intelligence. We seem to be hearing that a whole lot, right? You say it's a buzzword right now?
Yes,
It's one of those words, but it's good that, you know, people are really finally paying attention to that. You want to call it a buzzword, pop word, whatever. But right now it's ringing, and a lot of people are listening and paying attention and want to know more about that, right? How to strengthen themselves, or, you know, their kids or a family member in that department, because, you know, we all discovered and realized and found out that once we master, you know, those components within that, you know, the emotional intelligence, then we pretty much, you know, mastering self-worth and mastering, you know, mindset and just responsible decision making. Because one of the most important aspects of life is being self-aware. And a lot of people might say that they are, but they're really not. You know, but you don't know what you know until you find out what you don't know, right?
Right.
So I just kind of want to hear, you know, just talk to y'all just a little bit about parenting. I mean, we parents, that's one of the most hardest things to do is be a parent, because you're literally bringing a human being into this world, and you're responsible for that person. Literally, you are responsible for that person's mindset, so to speak, that person's emotional well-being. And if you were never taught if your parents were never strong in that department, do you think that that's something easy to do as a parent? Like, I know that, it's a conversation a lot of people not comfortable having because it's kind of like you're talking about your parents, and then it's a reflection in the mirror as to who you are. And a lot of people don't want to speak on that. So I just want to talk to y'all about, what are your thoughts on emotional intelligence and parenting from an emotional intelligence standpoint?
The first thing I want to say when it comes to parenting is that I don't want to say the best parent, but the most positive, ideal outcomes of parenting happen when parents do when we do our own healing of our own childhood. When we do that, then we're not parenting from our pain anymore. We're not parenting from our trauma. We're actually focused on who this little human being is, this little part of us is, and we're able to identify better what emotions are being expressed when our child is actually trying to express something. I often ask, what happened? Like, these people that are walking around as adults, angry or hurting, so on and so forth, were once little babies who cried and didn't have words and who had parents that cared for them. And at some point, that changed and that shifted. And I feel like the missing piece is our ability as parents to put words to, first of all, not be triggered. And second of all, put words to what our children are experiencing emotionally and give them those words so that they can start to be emotionally present. Right. So that's where I'll start for now. And I'll tag in when Kim.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's very important that we work on the inner child. We do that. As you stated earlier, we are the model for our children, but also they're the mirror. We see our reflection in them. So it's very important that we go back and do the work. To go back to the beginning of your question, Cody, honestly, a key to emotional intelligence when it comes to parenting is just, self-awareness, of course, right. But just being honest, okay, because get rid of the idea of being perfect, not letting my child know that I'm having a bad day, or trying to make it seem like, I can carry it all, I'll be okay, because they're learning to cope from us, right? So instead of like, don't worry about it, just go to your room, I just need time, it could just be like, you know what, mommy's really having a bad day. I need some time to process some things. I could really use a hug. Or if I'm wrong, because there is no book to parents and how to be a great parent. No true honest book, like this is what we have to do, right? So we're learning. It's bumps and bruises along the road. And it is okay to say, you know what, I was wrong, right? Because our kids, what we say and do holds power. And unknowingly, we can create a belief in them. Well, nothing I ever do is right. It's always hard on me. She said, I'm selfish. That could have been a moment in anger. It had nothing to do with my child, but she takes it and carried it on throughout life. I'm selfish. I should always do. And before I know it, when my child takes on a defense mechanism is, I want to make mommy happy. I want to make her have a good day. She begins to people please. So part of that is I want them, we should just be honest and not be afraid to express or communicate our feelings. Communicate when we're wrong and work it out. So yeah.
No, that was deep. That was deep. That was some. I just had a couple triggers myself listening to it. No, I mean, because it's real. I mean, you gotta be very, very mindful of the life that you speak in the kids and the life that you speak out of them. Because they definitely will believe the things that come out your mouth. Because essentially, you are their superhero. So you tell them, you give them their first release of who they can be and who they cannot be. So it's very important to, you know what I mean, lead by example as it relates to that and identify a lot of your shortcomings. Like you said earlier, get rid of the idea of being perfect. Like, you know, perfect imperfection. I mean, that's really the way to be because, you know, you showing your young people that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to feel away every now and then and you can bounce back from it. You know what I mean? I'm always talking about how I'll mess up real quick and I have to go back and apologize to my babies. But I mean, I'm serious about that because they need to know, like, because it'll give them a false sense of it's always me type situation. What am I doing? What am I not doing? Why am I being, you know, responded to like this? And that'll take a blow at a child's self-esteem.
Right.
And they'll show up, you know what I'm saying, with no self-esteem. And I'd be damned if I'm gonna let my babies grow up, you know, and not being able to know how to respond and react to a person, especially a man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I take that real serious about just being intentional about how I treat their emotions. You know what I'm saying? How I care about their mindset and I care how they feeling in the moment, even if they're hot. You know what I mean? Even if they're mad at the situation, I'll let them be mad, and then I let them explain to me why they're mad.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very important for them to understand that. I mean, I see you huffing and puffing. I was that same person, right? I'm curious on one hand as to, okay, do she think like me? You know what I mean? And then on the other, I'm like, dang, you might be a little bit like me. And then I want to talk about, like, okay, how much is she like me? Let's talk about it.
Okay.
And then I open up my ears and I open up my heart and my mind, and I'm listening to the words that's coming out my mouth, deeming nothing being disrespectful because I don't care at that point. What I care about is the self-expression, right? The lane that I created to allow her to be able to just open up her mouth and tell me what's going on with her. You know what I mean? Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's always a limit, and they know it.
You said a lot. You said a couple of key points. One of the things that I kept hearing you say was intentional. Okay, we could come on here and we could talk about emotional intelligence and finding an inner child, but let's be honest, a lot of us have just began to work, just heard what it is, began to, just get into it, or we haven't gotten into it yet. It's not too late. But the key thing is these are behavior mechanisms, defense mechanisms, how to survive basically from that age, right? From when we got that harmful core belief, when we started believing that. We've developed defense mechanisms that taught us how to survive through life, but currently right now is no longer serving us. Thank you, but it got us to this point. We just need to find healthier ways to move forward. But you have to be intentional. These things have been with you. These defense mechanisms have been with you since whatever age your inner child began, right? So you have to be intentional. You're not going to be perfect. You have to give yourself grace to learn something new. And another thing that you were saying was you get to a lot of times, helping them identify their biological response, right? The tantrums, like, oh, I want it now. I want it now. Why? Are you upset? What's going on? I bet that makes you feel real angry, the fact that, daddy's not letting you get your way, huh? Yes, it does. But what it does is it helps them identify their emotions. It's a lot of adults that do not know how to identify their emotions. It may not be a full-on temper tantrum like a 2-year-old, but it may be, well, I'm not talking to you. I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to do this, blah, 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 right? But that's just an emotional response, but you have to sit with your feelings. I feel that when you did this to me, this made me feel this way because this was my emotional response. This is how I felt physically. And it gets them to learn how to, one, communicate with themselves. When you start becoming more aware of you and learn how to communicate and identify your emotions, then it helps you naturally to communicate to everyone else. Easier.
Mhm.
It just makes it a little bit easier. So by getting the kids to identify with their emotions early is helpful. And also get rid of the question why. I remember when I was 17 years old and I was not allowed to date yet, so I started sneaking. And my parents were divorced. They got divorced when I was 6 years old, but they were very good with co-parenting. And I don't know, I'm dating my age, but living room, no one sits in the living room. So I come home from school and both my parents are in my mom's living room, right? Okay. So they sit down and they ask my mom is just like, let's just get it over with. Let's handle business, right? My dad is more of the like, let's talk about it. I'd rather handle my mom, like, just get me over it. But my dad was like, you know, why? Da, 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 da. And anybody, when even as an adult or as a child or as a teenager, when you ask the question why, it's a freeze response. Like, you know, what? I don't know if I can answer it in the moment. That's something I have to think about. And also, honestly, I was just thinking like, I'm not about to tell myself. What are you thinking? Why are you asking me these questions? So it's just, it's funny. I say that because replace the why with the what. What are you feeling? What do you think will happen? And it causes them to actually connect. And connect what they're feeling and communicate that a little bit better versus why.
Right.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I might speak, if I can, a little bit on the role that shame plays in the lack of emotional intelligence. Because a lot of times when in our culture, people are being told you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel this way. You know, a lot of times my class will think, I shouldn't be saying this, but I hate so and so. I shouldn't feel so. But and should is a cuss word in my practice. We don't should. So we want to be able to normalize how our body, like what Kim is saying, how our body responds. What's happening in my body? My chest is tight, my head is throbbing, tears are welling up, my face is hot. You are feeling something. And so, and that's okay. You know, like there's this whole thing now, like attitudes. I talked to couples who they're mad at each other because one of them had an attitude about something. And it's okay to have an attitude. And I think that's a cultural construct. Like that is a cultural norm that we need to throw in the trash. That we're not allowed to have an attitude when we don't like something. Are you kidding me?
Right.
A lot of us are stuck in our adolescence where attitudes were like intense. And we were told that was disrespectful to have an attitude, to have to roll your eyes. Like, that's just, it's okay because it's a part of our development. We know when, and we have to learn and teach as parents, teach our children to use our words when that's appropriate. And I think it was what Kim said or Cody, I don't remember, but just that phrasing, it must be really frustrating that ... It must be really, and at Kim, as you were saying that, I was like, I need to learn that phrasing for my children too. You know, I want to hug it out, and they're so upset with me. Touch me. So it's like, okay, I don't have words right now. Right now, you're getting on my nerves. So it's all of that. I think we have to be able to say, I am feeling really frustrated with what's happening right now. I am really stressed, and I want to help you. I want to have this conversation with you. The other part of it was what Cody was saying about having, I think it's an amazing program to talk about it and flesh out their emotions with them. I want to know when you're fleshing it out and talking about how you're feeling, do you guys talk about what you are going to do differently? You know, daddy went a little bit off the shelf. So moving forward, daddy's going to take 5 minutes to just gather himself and kind of promise that, so that there's a reason why she should forgive, for lack of a better word. Because what we don't want to do as parents is train our children to walk into an abusive situation where we go off, he or she goes off, apologizes, and gets invited back in, and that's just what they do. We want to be able to say, I went off, I was upset, moving forward, this is what I'm going to ask of you, and moving forward, this is what I'm going to do. So then that helps us move forward from that. We are now accountable and to be more emotionally aware. We take social responsibility, and we're creating more bonds. We don't want our children to be afraid of conflict because of how we're feeling.
Right.
That's the other part. Couples, when they start feeling things, don't have words to it, it moves into conflict. And children see the conflict. Like, every time I saw conflict, it just went bad. I grow up as adults. I'm not
Let's just work it out.
Just to avoid conflict.
Yeah. That ain't no good. Nah, that was some good insight, Natalie, because you just helped me really in that moment, because that adds accountability to that apology. You know what I'm saying? And I'm putting the ball in her court to be able to allow her to hold Daddy accountable, and anybody else that apologized to her. It just, you know what I mean? She won't be a punching bag. No, that's dope. That's real dope. Mm-hmm. So look, let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying I like the fact that you mentioned should. Should is one of the most critical words, and and we think like when we're not finding our language, we actually are. Because from that harmful core belief or the inner child, they will find languages to describe. So if I feel like I'm not enough, if I grew up in something, my harmful core belief was not enough, I will use should statements. It comes from, it undermines you. It's come from a place of criticism. Comes from a place of where, you're less than, not good enough, right? So I should be doing this. I should be further ahead. I should be married by now. Right. I should, and it just automatically sets you back. So even when we think we haven't found the language, we have found the language. Right. Sometimes we just have to change it.
Yeah. Just to change it. Exactly. I didn't talk a lot about shame, but I wanted to go back to it because the shame culture, I think the generation above us used shame to control the situation, like, how dare you do this, and how dare you, and really make people feel bad about themselves and who they are as a person. Back to Kim's core belief, I must be bad if I'm feeling this way. This must mean that I'm not lovable or I'm not going to be accepted. And so when men in particular, people in particular, but I think it's a lot of men, walk around with shame, the defense mechanism is high, either to anger, defense mechanism to fight the shame, or to isolate and just go inward and just not talk. We call it stonewalling, or just going silent. Just don't talk because I don't want to feel the shame. I know my wife or my partner's going to feel some type of way or say something about whatever it is I'm feeling or minimizing. That's why gaslighting is such a thing. Because nobody wants us to feel, oh, that's not what it is. Stop, get out your brain and totally dismissing everything. So we attribute gaslighting to narcissism and things of that nature, but gaslighting is also connected to a lack of emotional intelligence. Right. So because we're not aware of how we feel, we can't empathize with another person who's feeling that thing. It's not that. It's just this, girl, you just need a drink. Girl, maybe you just need some sex. Girl, it's just that. And it's like, no, I legit have a headache. I need to go to sleep. So,
or Natalie, don't question me. What you know about that? I'm the parent. I'm the parent. That's me. Okay. Don't you ever question me because I said so. And what did that do?
Yeah. And that Kim, I said so. With all that emphasis. Wow, that message was loud. So children are not going to want to tell us how they feel with all that intensity. They're not going to want to say anything. Then we got to add, for those of us in the religious Christian community or spiritual people, then we want our children to talk to God. Then we want our children to worship and praise. No, because if they can't really be honest with the people, the parents that they see, they're not going to want to tell God. Well, God knows how I feel. That defeated the purpose. So
A lot of times we treat our relationship with God the same way we think that we treat people from a harmful core belief. Oh, I didn't do this today. I'm not going to pray. I ain't going to. I didn't do enough. So I'll wait till I do this so that way I can go to God and ask for help. Like even right now, I'll wait, and what we do is just start. But that's, we treat our relationships equal. We feel shame, like I didn't do enough. I didn't do that. I didn't read my scripture this morning. So
okay,
we're gonna close the door. Let's move on.
All right, so look, let's talk about this. No, you know what? I don't even want to. I want to talk about what we was talking about before we started recording because I saw a clip. I'm gonna just dive straight in. I'm going head first.
You want to take a sip of water?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm gonna let. Well, yeah, let me.
Kim, you got some water? I got some water. I'm gonna take a sip of water too.
I don't have any. I'm just going.
So look, let me start off by saying I ain't judging nobody. I'm not here to judge. Right? Nobody, right? Nobody's perfect. Right? But I saw a clip, you know what I mean? I really can't explain the clip, but the clip that I saw, you know what I mean, scrolling, I know that we was discussing it earlier, and it was about a specific individual that was a professional in a certain area that was speaking to a topic that
we can put words to all of it. Yeah.
Okay.
We can put words and names to all of it. Our friend, our sister colleague, I mean, we don't know her personally, Miss Bree, went viral. She went live, you know, she's a therapist, she's a licensed professional counselor. She shared about her community and spoke pretty candidly in her vernacular to Black men about being emotionally intelligent.
Okay.
Intelligent, yeah.
That was well put. I couldn't describe that. So listen, I think I'm a Black man. Yeah. Let's hear about some of the things that she mentioned, because I want to be able to speak to it as a Black man. What?
You have asked.
Okay. So I did speak on it a couple weeks ago on my live. She used she was calling Black men out of their role in terms of Black men, referring to them as niggas, referring to women as bitches, and you know, it was her vernacular. It was how she was approaching everything. The problem that the Black men in the community had, some of them, not all, obviously, had was not necessarily what she said, but how she said it. It's been described as hella aggressive. It was you want your girl, you want your bitch. Why don't you niggas just, and it was real like I'm gonna come at you and I'm coming at you, get your emotional intelligence, and it was really aggressive. It wasn't conducive to how one could a wounded person could receive such an admonition. Those of us who struggle on the emotional intelligence plane are wounded. Okay, we're wounded because we're aware of our shortcomings and deficiencies, and so we stay unintelligent. We don't have no kind of overload. So come at an individual with that kind of aggression is difficult for a person to receive. And so she had a lot of that particular viral that she did lose her job, and her credentials were questioned. And some people, according to her, went for her license as well. That's how rattled and stirred they were. Now, I'm going to go ahead and propose that a lot of these guys were triggered. A lot of her audience was triggered, and that's important. Triggered by how, I believe, triggered by how she said it. And the reason why I say that is because when women, moms, single moms are raising Black boys, we get frustrated And we do get aggressive because we're pushed to our limit. And so when that happens, our boys go inward, they shut down. It's a trauma. It's hard to hear anything after that. It's stressful. And so when a professional or anybody else is wanting to care, and mothers care about our children, we care about our boys, we want the best for our boys. But when it's repeated in an outside from somebody that is not connected to us, it comes off as traumatizing. It's a trigger. And we have to be careful when we are addressing emotional intelligence. We have to be careful with our tone. We have to be careful with our words and also with our audience. As professionals, we are responsible to do no harm. And sometimes it's hard to navigate because our clients come in and we don't just listen to everything. And sometimes we can get triggered as parents, as professionals. It's a myriad of elements and factors to consider when we are addressing our audience and as it pertains to emotional intelligence. So
you definitely went in on that one. Okay. That was great. That was wonderful. Kim, so is that acquired because you don't want to talk about it? Or is that acquired because you got a whole lot to say? I mean, I'm just trying to.
Oh, I thought you were going to, once you found out what she was talking about.
I got a lot to say about it. I don't really kind of know where to start. That's why I want to piggyback off.
Just throwing it off at me. Okay, I wasn't ready, but let's just go ahead and jump in.
Wait, Kim. Wait, Kim. I really want to know how you feel about that, Cody. Like,
yeah,
you know, she's addressing you. She's addressing you. She's addressing your homeboys, calling nigga. Come on, your bitch want to get like. She's addressing you. How do you feel about that?
My honest feeling is, okay. So there's a certain group of people, right, who that stuff don't bother.
Okay.
Right? Like what you're saying, the aggression, you know what I mean, the tone, all that stuff. And there's a certain group of people that it don't bother.
Okay.
I'm kind of like in that group of people.
Okay.
Right? Now, what I mean by that is how she said, like the tone, the aggression, and all that. I don't really care. No, not she. I'm talking about like people, the aggression, that type of tone.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to, because on one end I'm just like, you know, she making a lot of people raise their eyebrow. You understand? But on one end I'm like, okay, it's certain people. There's a certain group of people that, you know what I mean, that's how they receive things, right? But at the same time, I don't think that promoting yourself as one thing and coming off in that way,
it gets tricky. It gets tricky. We don't want to be critical. We don't want to be critical and analytical and break things like that down.
Yeah.
But as far as the message is concerned, as far as, you know, like, are you happy she did it? Do you feel empowered? Do you think?
Oh no.
You know, can you translate? Like, hearing what she said, can you translate to those who were not able, as a man, to those men who were not able to hear that from her? Can you, as a man, translate that information? At the end of the day, our Black men do need emotional intelligence. So the message still needs to be translated and spoken in a way that is more easily palatable.
Okay, so if I could just speak to it in that way, number one, it's a large group of men who is broken, right? There is a large group of men who's not emotionally intelligent,
right.
And you know, just to be quite honest, that's not a way or the entry point of me trying to take the first step to becoming, right? Mm-hmm. So in that regard, no, that's not inviting. You just look at somebody, you know, look at them and just kind of keep going. Type of situation. It's not inviting me to want to do or be better. It's not inviting me to even want to be educated by this individual, or even try to get insight or knowledge from that person, because obviously the way that you deliver, how you do anything is kind of how you do everything. So, you know, maybe that person just wouldn't be for me, right? And you know, and it's not even that. Well, I don't even have to open that door. But that's not a way that I would want to. You know what I'm saying? I would like to be more. I would like to be invited in more. I would like to know and understand that I have a safe space, and with someone, and because I'm trying to be emotionally intelligent from a person that needs to be emotionally intelligent. You understand? So it's kind of like, you know, on one end, you can't preach one thing if you're not delivering that same thing, or you're not living out that same thing.
Gotcha.
So, nah, that ain't open up no door for me to want to, you know, enter into, you know, how you present things or how you normally do a lot. You understand? So
how can the brother, like, you tell the brothers how, like, what would the message be if you could translate? Interpret, if you could translate, like bro, what she's really saying is in bro lingo, if we could be so privy.
Right. So I say this is what you're trying to say, my brother. There's a large sum of men in our community that lack emotional intelligence. And we're just simply talking about, you know, being able to manage yourself well. You know what I'm saying? Being able to be self-aware. Being able to make responsible decisions, right? Being able to be more socially aware. Just being able to be strong in areas of your life most people have shortcomings in. Right? You have to strengthen those aspects of life, because what that will do is strengthen the relationships that we have with our friends. It'll strengthen the relationships that we have with, you know, our counterparts. It'll strengthen the relationships as far as employees, just all around you. You'll be more understanding, more empathetic, more sympathetic, or more knowledgeable about self and how to respond to certain situations and not have to react all the time. Like, these are the angles and the aspects that you need to come from. Life is all about perspective and how we view things. But the first thing we do before we view is feel. You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand how to control those things, those emotions. Because once we're able to control those emotions, you can control relationships in a more positive ways. You can control our life and how we move and the environment that surrounds us. We can control those because we have knowledge as to why this person is reacting or responding that way, why that person is reacting or responding that way. And most importantly, why am I reacting or responding in a certain way? So, like, people want to throw the word out, but it's important to understand what we're actually saying. You know, emotional intelligence is a new word. It's a new sound to our ear. But it's one thing to throw it out there, but it's another thing to understand what's coming behind that. It's just about knowing yourself, Blair. It's just about being knowledgeable about how to move forward in life. You know what I'm saying? How to take on life, how to respond to life, and not beat yourself up or beat nobody else up. You know what I'm saying? So that's really, you know what I mean, what it is. I don't think. See, we hear these terms, and a lot of people get discouraged because they don't know the definition behind it. Because they don't got nobody that walk the path that they walk that can explain it to them, or articulate that information to them in a real layman's terms, right? In an easy, simplified way. Life ain't that hard to figure it out. You just got to be able to figure it out with the right people that can guide you. Come on now. And give you the needs that you really have. You understand? Feel those things. You understand? And in our community, we don't know who those type of people are, right? Because a lot of those people hide behind the shell that they create as a person. You know, a lot of people don't open up and allow themselves to become vulnerable, right? To express themselves, to admit they have certain shortcomings. I don't think that admitting that you have certain shortcomings or opening up to be vulnerable will affect anything that you got going on in life. Whether you stop how much money you make, It's not going to stop how people look at you. It's not going to stop opportunity. And I feel like if you being vulnerable, or you know what I mean, you being able to open up and willing to open and express yourself in a way, and somebody's not receiving you or an opportunity pass you by because of that, I think that you need to reevaluate the rooms that you're in. You understand? The people that you surround yourself by. Because if the people that you surround yourself by aren't in a position to uplift you or encourage you or motivate you just as much as you desire to do for them, you don't need to be around them and waste your time. You understand? And I think that if we approach life that way and we continue to move that way in that direction, we'll be a lot better as people. There'll be less negative feelings and emotions and actions and just negative feelings when you enter into a room.
Right.
Because now you don't got to look at yourself. Because subconsciously, a lot of people look at themselves for the way somebody else is acting. They ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
You know, but if you are aware of yourself, you don't have to question that. You don't have to second guess that.
Right.
Because a lot of those questions, a lot of those second guesses, what that do to a lot of people is a lot of them is create them, it have them isolate themselves.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
Yep.
The suicide rate is so high because of depression, because of the lack of being seen, the lack of being heard, the lack of just being felt, understood, misunderstood. If you don't got a large social group of people that you can actually speak to, that's going to encourage you, that's going to motivate you, you're going to always feel like you're by yourself.
That's right.
And if you suffer from depression, anxiety, you know, all these things that most of us feel, and you suffering in silence and by yourself, you're not able to dialogue or conversate or communicate with somebody that's going through the same thing that you're going through. If you can't do that, you're going to always feel alone.
Right.
So you're going to always be in your own head. The purpose of surrounding yourself around people that are like-minded and that are more, you know, emotionally intelligent. The fact is, it's positive personal growth. You want to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
And I don't think nobody wants to die.
And so that was amazing what you said, Cody. That was amazing. Yes. And so the part of mental health, the part of well-being and emotional intelligence is about being authentic. And Kim, you spoke about that, being honest, being authentic. This is how I really feel. We're not stuffing the anger, we're not sucking back the tears, we're not, you know, gritting our mouth, and if you don't have anything nice to say, we're not living by those mantras.
I think we're starving
with your self-worth to be real with everybody else. And that's okay.
I think society is starving for authenticity right now.
Yes.
And I think what you have developed with Adversity University, I think that will come in and help, because it's a group of individuals who are completely authentic, and offering support to these groups to where they can come in and really get the support that they need so that they can, as you say, grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, look at y'all, professional. Y'all some dope people, man. Y'all dope. This some real good insight, but I hope I was able to articulate, you know, that well.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's definitely important, you know, for us to really just move in that direction. You know, you got parents that hear the word, they don't really understand what it is, but they want support. And you know, parents. I'm not going to say that. I was about to open a whole nother door, but it's important for you to understand who you are seeking support from. Like, Because there's a thing called guidance, right? And there's also a thing called misguidance.
But this culture has been, we are big on loyalty. African American community is big on loyalty, and I feel like though, we are more loyal to cultural norms than we are to being healthy. And raising our children in a healthier way, right? So there's a clip out there about corporal punishment, but there's more loyalty to whooping your child than there is to just using your words. Even Charlemagne the God, right, last week or the week before, handed out the donkey to somebody, and he spoke about where he went to school in South Carolina and how corporal punishment was a thing from the principal. You got in trouble, you had to go to the principal's office. And so he was I'll call it victim, but he was a whatever of that kind of thing. And that's a cultural norm that we have to throw away in the trash. It's not healthy. It's not helpful.
I think the fear behind when we talk about parenting, especially in today's term, when we talk about emotional intelligence and parenting, it does not negate boundaries. It does not negate accountability. It teaches accountability. It teaches you boundaries while teaching you how to communicate. Because a part of, we talk about an inner child, we talk about generational habits or curses. But I say this all the time, the biggest, where that comes from is just for us not communicating or talking ourselves through from generation. And it comes from us. This, what we're doing, it comes from us. It comes from people of color, right? But so, because you talk, you storytelling, you tell people that's how you have made it through. But at some point, we've stopped. And we have to pick that back up again. Yes. Just communicate, identify what you're feeling. This is what triggers me. If we can go into relationships, learning how to communicate and not communicating from my inner child or our harmful core belief, just imagine how much further we'll go.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. That's these are some powerful conversations. I love the fact that we can have this, this dialogue. And again, for y'all to be able to just display your dopeness, I really think that y'all are amazing. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. You're amazing. Yeah. Thank you for following through on your Adversity University. This is dope. It's amazing. And it's going to change it's going to change lives and the world. You're doing your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As you are. So I appreciate everything. Look, let me see what we got going on here. Got a few people there. Let me read these comments a little bit. That was an amazing conversation. Thank you, Marcy. Now, this is some good stuff. Y'all, shout out y'all social media handles and where they can find you and where they can listen to part of the support group. I guess I can say part of that. If y'all want to interact with these ladies, hear more about what they do, who they are. If y'all want to join the support group, we got trauma and healing support group hosted by Natalie Alexander. And we have harmful core belief, which is associated with self-esteem and anxiety and things like that, which is hosted by Tim P. These are some very, very dope licensed professional counselors. And listen, I can't say enough how dope that you are. I just want the people to see and experience that for themselves. So you can go to adversityonline.com or you can go to the Adversity University on IG. Click the link in that bio and you will be able to locate these ladies. I'm sorry, I just kind of did what y'all was supposed to do.
I'm happy you did it. Thank you. I'm happy you did it. Thank you. So you want to tell the audience about our workshop coming up this Saturday?
Oh yeah. So we got a workshop, a free event. Also, you can click the link in the bio, and it will have where it says the free mental health check-in. It's gonna be dope. These dope ladies will also be in the building. We're gonna give you some good free insight. The mental health check-in. It's okay to be not okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But go ahead and click that link. You can RSVP so we can know who's coming. It's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty dope. It's gonna be pretty private.
I'm
definitely come out, enjoy yourself, just have a good time for free. For some dope therapists and dope people. Okay. Yeah. So I think all the information is in the flyer, in the link, in the bio.
All right.
Y'all good? Y'all good to go?
I'm happy. I'm excited. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this, Cody.
I thank you for all of this. I thank you for your presence. I thank you for your knowledge. I thank you for your knowledge. And let's continue to push forward to saving lives. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is more powerful. Keep rocking, ladies.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
I don't know how to cut it off. So how we do that?
Yeah.
We're good?
Thank you.